After 5 months of renovating narrow, divided spaces into a large Eden-style kitchen with all of our must-haves, it's finally time to finish up. This week, I'm tackling my special projects for the space to bring the design all together.
A significant light, just where it was needed.
Hello guys, welcome back to the final episode of our kitchen renovation. We have access. We have not had this access to our kitchen and this whole part of the house. It'll be 5 months on the 8th. Finally, I can work on these archways. We can finish out this opening. They're gonna be all finished with all of the contractor work this week. They're just going through all of the small details, finishing outside, the tweaks and things. If you guys saw, I did a really pretty archway detail when I redid and made over our formal living room. Really wanted to give this illusion that the archways were actually a lot taller than they really were because they felt so short. They also had this weird angle here. And it's the only 3 archways that we have, or openings, not archways, not really an arch. It will be an arch when we're finished, but it's the only 3 openings that we have in the house, and they all had those odd corners that I didn't like. So I wanted to give an illusion that they were taller, to smooth out that edge to actually be curved instead of this angular cutoff situation. So that's the same thing that we're gonna do here. I have all of the supplies, so let's get started. So the guys have been here for the last few days working on the punch list items. Like painting the outside of the house was a larger scale project that still needed to be done, like finishing all the stucco work. It looks beautiful. Also doing some painting work inside, like finishing out the windows that we stripped and the old door that we restored, the walls and things like that, putting back in the lighting. So today's Saturday, no one's here working. So this is my time to kind of come in and do some of my things to keep it all going. Let's talk about hardware. I've been waiting for various pieces of hardware to come in because I've been sourcing some vintage items over the last several months, trying to match things and trying to find more of ones that I love that are vintage, and then mixing in some new. One particularly that is new is this big boy. This one in particular is 18 inches and it's polished brass and it is heavy. This one is really pretty and I actually really like that I went with this direction because it also came in other sizes. And I couldn't find ones that were big enough for our pantry and coffee pantry. So I got it in the 18-inch for the refrigerator and the 7-inch for the pantry and the coffee pantry. And then I also got some 5-inch for some of the larger
upper doors that the ones that I had just looked too small. I've been looking at estate sales and flea markets. Every time I go, I look for hardware. And one trip to the Pasadena flea market was a success. It was actually new old. It was old hardware that had never been unpackaged. They're really beautiful. I mean, I love them, but they are on the smaller scale. But look how many I was able to get. And I got these for $1 a piece. I also found this one that I love, that is so stunning. Like, I love it, I love it. I loved the idea of putting cup hooks on the bottom cabinetry. Since our drawers are so large on the bottom, the ones that I designed that are deep and big and wide, like 3 foot wide, I thought it would be cool to do 2 cup handles on those because it would help with the scale and help opening, obviously, because they're larger drawers. I scoured in person and online, and I did see a few people on eBay selling maybe 1 or 2 here or there. I was never going to find enough. It would have taken me a really long time, maybe, and maybe not ever, to find enough that I needed for the kitchen. So I have 2 of these that we can use for another project. So I started looking online to see if I could find a new one. Found these and they're really pretty. Definitely pricier than $1 a piece, but I could get them all matching. And it was a really similar look and idea to the ones I found vintage, and it was the closest that I could come by. So here's how my brain works in terms of trying to figure out how to design the hardware for the kitchen and what goes where. I have to do it on the computer and kind of block out each cabinet, especially when I'm mixing so many different ones. I have to try and figure out what goes where. So our job today is to perfect our appliances, put the doors on the refrigerator. So I have already done this before. I did this at the cottage. It's the same fridge, just a newer version of it. It's the same process, but it has been a minute. So it tells you how in the instruction manual. So I've already read it. It was my light reading last night. And we have the panels that are already stained, which is great. And we have the hardware. lights and the motion light outside when they finished up the electrical. So those look great, and they were able to hang the pretty lights, the big light. I did miss the install. I waited all day for them to install it and then went to lunch. And they literally installed it when I was at lunch. But it's beautiful, but it's not even as beautiful as it's about to be, because we're gonna put all of the sleeves on each of the candelabra where the lights come up, and also all of the crystals. Oh my gosh, you guys, that light is so pretty. I'm so glad I went with the crystals. I was so hesitant because I just didn't want anything to feel overly feminine, or, you know, just always taking into consideration that I'm not the only one living here and that we're designing this space for our family and for the both of us. But he loved this light, I love this light. It totally takes the design to the next level. So excited. So we have some leftover chain from that light because we did have to shorten it this much. It came with extra, obviously. So we shortened that to make it the right height, but this is gonna come in so handy for our other light. So this is the other light that I found at the estate sale, and I've had to order a few things to make this light work. So I've got most of the pieces and I have the canopy. We just need to determine how long we are needing this to be. Don't think it needs to be that long. I also don't have much wire, so let's see, like that. We don't know if we like it. I like it, I like the light. But I think when I stand back and like look at both of these,
I think you already have enough lights in here.
there's definitely enough light in here, yes. I wanted the option to have it. I mean, you've got a light right over the
I know.
sink with the
How much
recessed light.
I'm gonna be blinded while I'm doing the dishes.
I don't know if I like, we're gonna leave it for now and start bringing in some of the furniture and just like table it for now. But so if you've been following along on the series, you know that we do not have an island in our kitchen. We actually wanted to have an Eden style kitchen for a couple of reasons. One, I thought it would fit more of the style of the house, since our house was built in the 30s and islands didn't come about for like 20 more years after that, like around the 50s, I think. And also, I felt like we would use the kitchen so much more. We were already gonna use the kitchen a lot, but so much more having a dining room table in the kitchen. It would offer us more tabletop space, even though it would be lower than the countertops, obviously. It's surface area, you know, that we can use, and we can sit at it and have a proper meal. Because you remember, this space was half dining room, half kitchen, but both spaces were really narrow. So we actually never did anything with the dining room space, and it was so small we never wanted to eat in it. But now that it's so open, you know, I feel like we're gonna use the space so much. So we have a beautiful dining room table that we're gonna bring in, but also underneath the dining room table I wanted a rug. But because we have a baby that's going to be learning how to eat soon and all the things, I wanted a rug that was going to be able to be washed. So I actually got a ruggable rug that you can throw in the washing machine. So here's the pattern that I went with. It's so pretty. I wanted it neutral and pretty much everything in the center of the room to be lighter in color, because we went so dark with the cabinetry and then we did a color on the hood. I wanted the center of the room to be that lightness and that calmness. So the rug, the table, the chairs, everything is on the lighter scale. So first things first, put the rug down. We have pads for it, so it makes it more cushioned. So the rug is gonna help to ground the room in the center, as well, and then we can wash it. So hopefully it'll last a long time. So we're gonna try it in this spot first. This is the center. So the center of this wall and the center underneath the chandelier. It's the center this way, but because of joining two rooms together and the odd kind of shape of the house, actually where you're standing, the room actually kicks out. And so that's where the doors are. And I'm thinking I like that there's space for the doors to open freely, and it's not gonna be inhibited by a rug, but it also gets a little close over here. But ideally, that kind of feels nice because when you're standing at the sink, you're standing on rug, and it's quite nice. I mean, we would naturally put a rug at the sink. We're gonna try it here first. This is the center. The only other option would be to kind of like throw it off center and move it closer to the doors, but then it's off center from the chandelier, so it throws off the table. We're kind of making an odd shaped room make sense. So let's bring in the table. Guys, I'm so in love with this table. So this came out of an estate in Santa Barbara. It was at an estate sale. A company bought it. I actually found it on Cherish, the website that has like lots of antique and vintage furniture and lighting and stuff. I love that it was not only like that bleached oak color that matched some of the other furniture that we already had been incorporating into the house, like in the entryway and the baby's changing table upstairs and some other pieces. So I love that it would tie all the spaces in the house together. And also I love this like urn-shaped leg. This is a trestle table, and the way that it's joined together, it has no hardware. It only has some newer screws that were provided so the tabletop secures to the bottom, but that's it. The top of this table is 3 inches thick. It is heavy, so beautiful and so substantial, and I love the lightness that it's gonna bring to the center of the room too. Okay, so this is the lightest part of the table, so we're trying to make a decision about the center. We knew it was gonna be pushed further this way, right? And we don't know how much the tabletop hangs over, so it's gonna take even more space. This doesn't bother me, because the table's over there. This will still open, it's cramped. It's like...
Yeah, it's so cramped, and then you have so much room there, it just doesn't make any sense.
So if we throw the room off center, it's gonna be, it'll be thrown that way, and then the light will kind of be at the end of the table.
Are there some kitchens like that where... I guess it doesn't matter what other kitchens depend.
Right. I mean, we have to make the space work for us.
Yeah, I'd rather it be functional.
Right. It just will be off. So if we do it off, I want it purposely off, right? So it's like, right now we're in the center, so now it needs to be in the center of the half. Mm-hmm. So I need to measure the table now and figure out how much I need to shift to make it make sense. And go with it. That was always a thought that we were gonna have to do. We were gonna have to throw it off to make just the space feel more comfortable. Now the rug is in the center of the room. Yeah. So it's still the center. Styling wise, I think I can help it. Instead of everything being centered, I'm gonna focus height on this side because the chandelier is on that side. So I think, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It has to be more functional. Ooh, she's heavy.
Oh my goodness.
She's pretty though. So dining room chairs. I scoured the internet and in person for the perfect set of dining room chairs, either vintage antique or new. I just wanted something that was really pretty and lighter in color. And honestly, I think I found the perfect chair. I love these chairs so much. Love the color. I was worried it might be too gray, but I love it with the table. When they came in, I was like, oh, these are perfect. It has the cane back. It has shape up here, which is not something that I've seen on other ones that are similar to this. And I think the coolest part about this chair is the cushion, that it's made to have a cushion. And we could change them out. If I want to have fun with it, I could change I could have like a pattern for a little while. I love the neutral, obviously, but we can have more fun with it. I mean, why not? But I love them. They were so pretty. So we went with 6 chairs, 3 on each side, so that we left the ends free for everyday living. And then one of you guys actually commented that it would be a great idea to find 2 eclectic chairs that you could add to the end of the table so that you would have a seating for 8 at a 7-foot table, but you wouldn't have to have them there all the time. I love that all of these pieces together, the rug, the table, and the chairs, is bringing such a lightness to the space because we went so dark with the cabinetry. So I designed our hood off of these amazing corbels that I found at the flea market. Found them at the Long Beach Flea, and I had been looking for some for quite a while. I wanted something substantial and had a lot of interest in their shape. And when I found these, I just knew. I was like, these are them. So once I had these, I could kind of sketch out my ideas for what the hood was going to become above these. So I wanted these to be corbels for underneath, almost like they were acting like they were holding up the hood. So they're gonna go here, like that. I have waited until we have made it all the way to the end of this renovation so that I could see all of the elements together. The color of the cabinetry, the stone that we picked for the countertops, the floors, the paint color for the walls, and the hood color. And I just didn't know what I wanted to do with these in terms of color. Part of me fell in love with the fact that they were just like old and chippy and had a lot of history. You know, it's almost like they had a lot of stories to tell. So part of me didn't want to do anything to them. I'm like, I love that it's chippy. I love that it's just like raw and real. And the other part of me wanted to strip all the paint off to see what kind of raw wood it would be. The guys that made the hood actually cut the top of these to make it super flat and cut off an old chunk that was on top of these corbels, so we can see what kind of wood it is, and it's not great wood. I'm thinking that anything that's attached to the hood or part of the hood all needs to kind of be the same color family, like the same color. What if we took the same blue paint? This is Blue Springs by Benjamin Moore, and I have a sample size. What if we took some of that paint, watered it down, made a paint wash, and went over this with a paint wash of blue so that it's pulling that blue down onto the corbels and it's not adding a completely new color and element to the kitchen when we already have so many. I'm sure that there are a bajillion ways, different ways that you can do this. I'm gonna dilute the paint. I think I'm gonna start pretty light and pretty diluted. So I'm gonna do like 70% water and 30% paint, and we can always do more. Kind of doing like a dry brush now instead of the water to see. See how this is like the dry brush, and I'm kind of not going over the white parts, just kind of dipping it in the paint and then brushing it off. I'm gonna go back stronger in like certain spots. Okay, so this is before, and this is dry brushed blue, just on the front here. Okay, I really like the blue. I think it was a good call to make the hood all one unit. And I like that I can still see the white chipping paint because I didn't go over those parts. I really just focused on putting the blue on the parts that were more of the yellow beige color. Falling a little flat to me, so to add a little bit of dimension, I have some dark walnut stain in my stash that is the color that we used on the cabinetry. So I'm gonna basically antique it, but just like on the edges and like kind of burnish it a little bit. Like the ornate frame that I did the cottage around the TV, we did the same thing, kind of just to like darken some areas to give more depth. So right here on the edge is where I added just a little dab of walnut. And I don't want to add it everywhere. I can kind of rub it out. It kind of makes the blue look like it's been there for a while too, that it's not so fresh. I think that looks pretty good, you guys. Like just updating it just a little bit to make it all tie in. One more thing that I'm going to do to these now that the color is perfected is seal them. The last thing we want is chippy old paint around a cooking area. And so I'm probably gonna do at least 3 layers of the polyacrylic sealer that I really like. It's a water base. Find that it never yellows on me over time, and I really like it. And install them into place. The idea was to build a hood with lots of character and lots of movement. And I think that these really do it and really bring a sense of old and history to the space, where some things that we used in the space was obviously new, like the cabinetry and the wood for the hood, but these are adding that history back in. So when we made over the kitchen that we had before, I added cafe curtains to these windows, and these are the same original windows, we just restored them. So I wanted to add cafe curtains back. So I have the neutral ones that I made that are really pretty, but I felt like it might be a missed opportunity. Maybe we should do a pattern. So neutral would look like that. Just kind of disappear, just add a tinge of privacy, you know, and some texture on the windows. That's really what it will add. I pulled this one out of our bathroom because I really loved this print. This is also really pretty. I think that the blues are a little different, but they're still in the same family. But they didn't have any more of this fabric in stock, but I could always order it if I really like it. But they did have brown toile, which is really pretty with our cabinetry. and it gives the pattern, you know, because the toile has a busy look to it. I think it could be really pretty. I'm gonna use the old ones that I made as a pattern. And I also have all of the brass pieces to make the cafe curtain rods that we originally had in our kitchen as well. I always like to iron down the seam allowance so that I know exactly where I need to sew. It just helps to make a really clean hem. Decided that we do not like this light here. I've thought a lot about it. I think what it is it's too similar to like the faucet or something. It's like the faucet has a center and 2 ends, and now the light has a center and 2 ends. Something about this particular light is not jiving with the design. I do like the idea of a light here, even though we do not need more lighting in the kitchen, and we do have a recessed light here. We optimized the light for sure, which was one of my goals, but I think a decorative light fixture is pretty here to fill out the space. So we'll be on the hunt for something different than this one to go here. Maybe something shorter, I don't know. Something not this shape. So I have some really pretty decor pieces that we can incorporate into the kitchen. We're going for limited styling though. The whole point was to optimize our counter space and not to fill it with either like smaller appliances or utensils that sit out or home decor. But a little bit of decor will make my heart happy. So we're gonna do it. I have like cookbooks and canisters and breadboards and cutting boards and a few pieces of art. And I have a few spots in the kitchen where art is going to be really pretty, and I kind of planned for it. One spot's over here. Since this is the refrigerator, I didn't want more cabinetry here. It didn't make sense. We wanted to make sure that the fridge could open all the way, because in the last kitchen, the fridge did not open all the way because it was against the wall. So this wall kicks out, and we actually optimized the rest of the space next to the refrigerator with a hidden cabinet for like the broom, you know, just like maybe cleaning supplies and stuff. So it's hidden, it has no handle, just has a push close. This is a great spot for art that I had planned for, and I love this one. This one I got at the Paris flea market. So it's really fitting to go into our kitchen. It's fruit and like a little table setting. So I thought it would be pretty here. And don't even get me started on the switches. Our switches had to be smart switches so that we had another switch when you walk into the room. All the power comes here, and I had 3 color options, and white was the best choice. You know, I don't like to see switches or outlets, but you know, it is what it is. We had to have them. Another spot I really like for art is in the coffee pantry. So in here, we're gonna have our espresso machine and Nespresso for quicker coffee. And I thought it would be pretty to hang a piece of art. This one I love. This one was in our last kitchen too, and it's very old. And so I'm just gonna leave it in here for now. I'm not gonna hang it because we need to get all of our stuff in here. The cabinets are completely empty. I'll keep that piece of art in there so it reminds me that I wanna hang something there. This section over here is gonna be fun to style. Originally, all of these cabinets up here, the glass ones, were gonna sit on the countertop. So we were actually not gonna have all this countertop space here, but we changed it. It was actually Romeo's idea to make all of this countertop since we were optimizing all the storage and we were gonna have plenty, and it was such a good decision. I want some styling pieces up here that's gonna be like easy to kind of move around and get out of the way if we need to. I was thinking, since we didn't go with the tile option, we actually just did a decorative backsplash here. I was thinking a piece of art would be pretty kind of somewhere back here. I could hang it, or we could just rest it. These might be pretty over here. Kind of collecting them together. And then here we could do a breadboard. And I love this sideways picture. We've had it for a while. I found it at a thrift store. Maybe we can put it, bring some movement into the corner. And this rolling pin I found at a thrift store years ago. And it wasn't my vibe, but I thought it was pretty. Like, I knew it was pretty, you know? I was like, oh, that's pretty, but I don't like blue. And now it's totally my vibe and totally goes with the kitchen and everything. So just as decorative for sure, but we can just nestle it over here. Pretty simple. I have this crock that I just took the top off, and I've had this idea for a while to just have a crock with like some rolling pins in it. Again, decorative, not to use, but I could put one to use in it, but I thought that was kind of cool. Maybe we could do it like over here. This feels really bare. Over here. Maybe I can hide this switch, you know? Maybe some breadboards. When I found this book, Maman, the cookbook, it's mother in French, and I was like, I love this. Look at the cover intro, like the first page. I was like, I love this book so much. And I wanted a book like, you know, I wanted like a recipe holder, you know, like something we're cooking, we're following a recipe. I don't have a particular book holder, but I do have this very cute little easel for a little picture that might work. Yay, that's so cute. And some roses from the garden. Over here next to the stove and the oven, I know I want to keep it pretty minimal. These end countertops aren't very large, and that's the surface that we're going to use kind of the most around the oven. We can always move stuff out of the way, but you don't want to do that too much. So I'm just thinking maybe like something in this corner. Maybe some cookbooks and like a little thing. When we had to move the table off center to the chandelier in the oven, but in the center of the space, just to make it more functional, in terms of like the chandelier being centered with the beams and centered with the hood, and then now the table off center. When things are off balance, it kind of makes my brain twitch a little bit. But the more I thought about it, we put the chandelier high enough so it's part of the kitchen as a whole, instead of just the dining portion of the kitchen. And I think the power of styling is really going to show through right now, and let's see if we can give it balance by keeping the chandelier in the center of the overall kind of like space in terms of the beams and things. We just need to play with height over here on the left side, which is actually kind of cool because I could put something taller, you know? So I'm thinking about bringing in like a really organic pot like this. I got these at like all of Atelier. I love having these to style with. some like branches and leaves, and obviously we could change them out. These are just from our garden. And since there's two of us plus Cade, you know, I think we'll sit on this side always. So the table will stay styled pretty much all the time like this, which is kind of cool that it's off. I can focus the decor off center. So it's making me happy. I have this big breadboard that we could put to kind of like corral like several items on. And just put a few things here. After a year and a half of dreaming about this design and then 5 months of renovation, we have done so much to this space. From completely taking down the center wall to changing the space structurally, raising the ceiling, adding beams so that it flowed with the rest of the house and had a similar look, to designing custom cabinetry, optimizing all the sunlight by adding skylights and beautiful French doors going out to our pool to make an indoor-outdoor feel, to restoring what was already here, like the old windows and the doors and the flooring, and then bringing in new and old items to make the space really come to life. We did it. We finally have our kitchen back, and I could not be happier. And how it looked in my head for so many months. It finally manifested in real life, and I am completely obsessed. I will be spending lots of time in here, and us as a family will be spending lots of time in the kitchen because we have an eating kitchen with a dining room table. I think it was the perfect choice. I can't even imagine an island in here now that it's all designed and done. I love all the details, all the hardware and the cabinetry and even the glass, everything. Everything really came together, and it's truly my dream kitchen. So I hope you guys enjoyed this series. 10 episodes, and we will have a bonus episode. There is nothing in any of our cabinets. We haven't put a single thing. Our kitchen is truly still in our living room. So we're gonna be organizing, doing an extreme organization actually, figuring out where everything is going to go, and using our oven for the first time, putting things in our fridge, actually using the space. So if you have missed any of the episodes in this series, I will leave it all linked for you. I have a complete playlist. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button and the little bell notification if you like these videos and want to see more. We do renovations, we do smaller projects, and just any kind of project that transforms a house into a home. So I will see you guys very soon for another project. Bye guys. What do you think about all this? Huh? You're such a great helper.